You really think you can warn me, sweetheart? Those were the last words Luca Moretti spoke before I dislocated his arm in front of 47 witnesses. I told him not to touch me. I'd given him a fair warning. But men like him never listen to women like me, especially when they think we're just decoration in a wine and white uniform, carrying plates and smiling on command. He learned. They all learned that night. But here's the thing about breaking a mafia boss's arm in a crowded restaurant. It doesn't end with an apology and a bag of ice. It starts something far more dangerous than I ever intended. It starts obsession, investigation, protection, and eventually something I stopped believing I deserved years ago. Love. My name is Emily Hart, though that's not the name I was born with. That name died 2 years ago in a Budapest safe house along with 6 innocent people I refused to kill. The CIA called it treason. I called it being human. They decided I knew too much, saw too much, became too much of a liability. So they did what they always do with assets who grow a conscience. They tried to erase me. I disappeared instead. New identity. New life. New city. I became a waitress at Giovanni's, an upscale Italian restaurant where rich people paid too much for pasta and mobsters conducted business over tiramisu. I kept my head down, smiled when required, lived in a tiny apartment with my 7-year-old son, Jacob, who has sensory processing disorder and needs routines, stability, and a mother who doesn't vanish into the night on black operations anymore. I was doing fine. Really, I was. Until that Tuesday in March, when Luca Moretti walked into my section with violence simmering under his skin and decided I looked like an easy target. But let me ask you something before I take you back to that night. How are you doing? Where are you watching this from? Is it raining where you are? Or is the sun streaming through your window? I hope you're comfortable, because this story gets uncomfortable fast. It gets messy. It gets real. And I promise you, by the end, you'll understand why some people are worth fighting for, even when fighting means risking everything you've rebuilt. Hit that like button if you're ready for a story about second chances, dangerous men, and a woman who refused to stay broken. Subscribe because, trust me, you'll want to hear how this ends. And drop a comment telling me if you've ever had to choose between doing what's right and doing what's safe. Because that choice, it defines everything that happened next. But let me start from the beginning. 3 years ago, I believed in something. I believed in duty, honor, country. I believed the CIA recruited me at 21 because I was special, talented, capable of serving something bigger than myself. I believed when they sent me into hostile territories that I was making the world safer. I believed my skills in hand-to-hand combat, infiltration, intelligence gathering, all of it mattered for good reasons. I believed a lot of stupid things back then. I was what they called a kinetic operations specialist. That's government speak for someone who solves problems violently when diplomacy fails. I spoke 4 languages. I could disappear into any crowd. I knew 17 ways to kill someone with my bare hands and 3 times that many ways to extract information without leaving marks. They called me Artemis, the Huntress, the ghost who cleaned up messes nobody wanted on record. For 4 years, I was exactly what they made me. Efficient, obedient, deadly. Then Budapest happened. My handler, a man named Crawford with cold eyes and colder orders, sent me to eliminate a target. A journalist who'd uncovered CIA black site locations in Eastern Europe. Standard termination protocol. Except when I arrived at the location, the journalist wasn't alone. He had his wife, his 2 young daughters, his elderly mother visiting from Poland. Crawford's orders were clear. No witnesses. Clean slate. I stood in that hallway with my weapon drawn, looking at a 6-year-old girl clutching a stuffed rabbit, and something inside me just broke. Or maybe it finally healed. I don't know. But I couldn't do it. I told Crawford no. I told him to send someone else. I told him I was extracting myself from the operation. He told me I'd just signed my death warrant. Within 6 hours, I was framed for selling classified intel to Russian intelligence. Within 12 hours, my face was on every kill list in the intelligence community. Within 18 hours, 3 agency cleaners were actively hunting me across Europe. I ran. God, I ran. And I survived, because that's what they trained me to do. I made it back to the States using a dead woman's passport. I found a forger in Detroit who created Emily Hart, complete with social security number, work history, and a backstory nobody would question. I took the money I'd hidden over the years in various accounts, and I bought myself a future. Then I found out I was pregnant. Jacob's father was a mistake. A one-night comfort during an operation in Morocco. I never told him, never even got his real name. But when Jacob was born, when I held that tiny, perfect human who depended entirely on me, I made a promise. He would never know violence. He would never live in shadows. He would have the childhood I never got. Except Jacob came with complications. By age 3, we knew something was different. Loud noises sent him into meltdowns. Certain textures made him scream. Transitions between activities required careful planning and preparation. The doctors called it sensory processing disorder. His nervous system processes information differently, gets overwhelmed easily, needs specific support to function in a world that's too bright, too loud, too much. So, I became the mother he needed. Patient. Structured. Present. I learned about weighted blankets and noise-canceling headphones and visual schedules. I found a special needs preschool that understood him. I worked day shifts at Giovanni's so I could be home every night for his bedtime routine. Stories, songs, the same stuffed elephant tucked just right against his left shoulder. For 2 years, we were okay. Not great. Money was always tight. I lived in constant fear someone from my past would recognize me. But Jacob was thriving. He started speaking in full sentences. He made a friend at school. He laughed at silly jokes and loved dinosaurs and called me Mama in this sweet, earnest way that made every sacrifice worth it. I thought I'd escaped. I thought I'd built something real. Then Luca Moretti sat down in my section. It was a Tuesday night around 8:30. The restaurant was busy, but not slammed. I'd already worked a double shift because another server called out and my feet hurt, and I was mentally running through Jacob's morning routine for Wednesday, making sure I had everything ready for his occupational therapy appointment at 9. Luca walked in with 3 men who looked exactly like what they were. Enforcers. Muscle. The kind of guys who hurt people for a living and didn't lose sleep over it. But Luca himself was different. Dangerously handsome in that way that makes smart women nervous. Dark hair falling naturally away from his face. Sharp jaw with stubble. Tattoos visible on his neck and hands. He wore a black shirt unbuttoned just enough to show more ink across his collarbone. His eyes were the color of whiskey and just as likely to burn you. The hostess, Maria, seated them in my section. She gave me this apologetic look because everyone who worked at Giovanni's knew who Luca Moretti was. The East Side belonged to him. The docks. The gambling. The protection rackets. He wasn't just mob. He was the mob in this city. But I'd faced worse than local criminals. I'd sat across from terrorist financiers and smiled while poisoning their wine. I could handle one arrogant mobster and his friends. I approached their table with my server smile firmly in place. Professional. Neutral. Unthreatening. Good evening, gentlemen. Can I start you with drinks? 3 of them ordered.
Scotch.
Bourbon. Vodka tonic.
Standard.
But Luca just stared at me. Really stared. Like he was trying to see through my skin to whatever lived underneath. You're new, he said. Not a question. A statement. I've worked here 2 years. I've never seen you before. I work days mostly. Can I get you something to drink? His mouth curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. What's your name? Emily. Emily. He repeated it slowly, tasting each syllable. You married Emily? Every instinct I'd honed over years of operations started screaming. This wasn't casual flirtation. This was a predator circling. Testing boundaries. Looking for weakness. That's not relevant to your drink order, I said calmly. Would you like to see a menu? One of his men laughed. Luca didn't. He leaned back in his chair, still watching me with those unsettling eyes. Bring me whiskey. The expensive kind. And keep them coming. I nodded and walked away, feeling his gaze on my back the entire trip to the bar. The thing about dangerous men is they broadcast their intentions. Luca was in a mood. A dark, destructive mood that meant someone was going to get hurt tonight. I just didn't plan on it being me. I brought their drinks, took their food orders, kept my distance. But the restaurant was crowded, and I had 6 other tables, and eventually I had to come back to check on them. That's when things went wrong. I approached to ask if they needed anything else. Luca was on his 4th whiskey, and whatever had been simmering underneath earlier was now boiling over. He grabbed my wrist as I reached for his empty glass. Not hard, not painful, but possessive, controlling. The kind of touch that says I can do what I want, and you can't stop me.
Stay, he said.
Have a drink with us. I'm working. I don't care. His men were watching. The nearby tables were watching. Everyone waiting to see what the Mafia boss would do to the waitress who dared refuse him. I looked down at his hand on my wrist, then up at his face. Let go, I said quietly. Make me, sweetheart. That's when I gave him the warning. The fair, honest warning I gave every target before things got physical. Don't touch me. Don't step closer. I'm telling you for your own good.
Luca laughed.
Actually laughed. His men joined in like it was the funniest thing they'd ever heard. This tiny waitress threatening a man who'd killed more people than she'd probably ever met. He stood up, stepped into my space. Close enough I could smell the whiskey on his breath and see the gold flecks in his brown eyes. Or what, he whispered. I moved. Years of training compressed into 2 seconds. I twisted my wrist free, grabbed his extended arm, pivoted my hip, and applied precise pressure to his elbow joint while rotating his shoulder past its natural range of motion. The sound of his shoulder dislocating was very, very loud in the suddenly silent restaurant.
Luca screamed.
A raw, shocked sound of pure pain. He dropped to his knees. I released him immediately and stepped back, breathing slowly, perfectly calm, while chaos erupted around us. His men jumped up. Other diners gasped. The manager came running. But I just stood there, hands at my sides, looking at Luca kneeling on the floor cradling his dislocated arm, his face white with shock and agony. I warned you, I said softly. That's when our eyes met. Really met. And something passed between us in that moment that I didn't understand then, but would come to define everything that followed. Recognition, maybe. Or curiosity. Or the beginning of something neither of us saw coming. He looked at me like I'd just become the most interesting person he'd ever met. And I looked at him like I'd just made the biggest mistake of my new life. Because I had. Breaking a mafia boss's arm in public doesn't end with him limping away embarrassed. It starts an investigation. It raises questions. It puts attention on someone who absolutely cannot afford attention. But I didn't know that yet. In that moment, I just grabbed my coat and left through the kitchen exit before the police arrived, before anyone could take statements, before my face ended up in any official reports. I ran home to my apartment, paid the babysitter, checked on Jacob sleeping peacefully in his bed with his elephant and his weighted blanket and his noise machine humming white noise. I thought that was the end of it. I thought I'd move cities again, change names again, start over again. I didn't know Luca Moretti doesn't let things go. I didn't know he'd become obsessed with finding out who I really was. I didn't know that breaking his arm would save both our lives in ways I couldn't possibly predict. And I definitely didn't know that 3 days later, the CIA would discover I was alive, and everything I'd built would burn down around me. But that night, I just tucked Jacob's blanket tighter around his shoulders, kissed his forehead, and whispered the promise I made him every night. You're safe. Mama's here. Always. I meant it. I really did. I just didn't know how hard I'd have to fight to keep that promise. The next morning, I woke up to Jacob's alarm at 6:30, same as every morning. His routine never changed. Couldn't change. Any deviation sent him spiraling, and I'd learned the hard way that consistency was survival for both of us. Mama, he called from his room. Mama, is it Wednesday? It's Wednesday, baby. I walked into his room where he was already sitting up in bed, his elephant tucked under his arm, his noise-canceling headphones on the nightstand where we always left them. What happens on Wednesday? Occupational therapy, with Miss Karen at 9 o'clock. Then lunch. Then quiet time. Then park if the weather is good. That's exactly right. You're so smart. He smiled at that. My beautiful boy with his serious gray eyes and the way he processed everything so carefully, so precisely. He didn't understand sarcasm or jokes most of the time. He took everything literally. But he trusted me completely, and that trust was the most precious thing I'd ever been given. I helped him through his morning routine. Shower with the water pressure exactly right. Clothes laid out in order. Breakfast at the same spot at the table. Toast cut diagonally, never horizontally. Orange juice in the blue cup, never the red one. While he ate, I checked my phone. 3 missed calls from Giovanni's. 2 text messages from the manager, Vincent, asking me to call him immediately. My stomach dropped. I knew what this was about. Last night.
Luca.
The incident that should never have happened. I waited until Jacob was absorbed in his dinosaur book before stepping into my bedroom and calling Vincent back. Emily, he answered on the first ring. What the hell happened last night?
I'm sorry.
A customer got aggressive. I defended myself. You put Luca Moretti on the floor. In front of half the city's power brokers. Do you understand who that man is? I understand he grabbed me without permission. Vincent was quiet for a long moment. Look, I like you. You're a good worker. But I can't have this kind of trouble. The restaurant can't afford that kind of attention. I have to let you go. I'd expected it, but the words still hit hard. That job was stability, predictability, the exact kind of boring normal life I needed. I understand, I said quietly.
I'm sorry.
Really? There's 2 weeks severance in your account. Good luck, Emily. He hung up. I stood there holding my phone, feeling the familiar weight of consequence settling on my shoulders. 1 moment of defending myself, and now I had no income, no job, no plan. But I'd been in worse situations.
Ide surviva bursa lusas.
I could figure this out.
Nana.
Jacob appeared in the doorway. Are you sad? I wiped my face quickly. I hadn't realized I was crying.
No, baby.
Mama's fine. Just thinking. Are you ready for Miss Karen? He nodded seriously. I'm ready. I wore my soft shirt. Good choice. I got him to therapy, watched through the observation window as Miss Karen worked with him on fine motor skills and sensory integration techniques. He was doing so well. 6 months ago, he couldn't tolerate anyone touching his hands. Now he was using therapy putty without flinching. Everything I'd sacrificed, every choice I'd made, it was all worth it for moments like this. After therapy, we went home for lunch. I made his favorite peanut butter and banana sandwich with the crusts cut off. While he ate, I started searching job listings online. Waitressing. Retail. Anything that paid enough to cover rent and didn't require background checks deep enough to expose my fake identity. That's when someone knocked on my apartment door. I froze. Nobody knocked on my door. Ever. I didn't have friends. Didn't have visitors. The building super always called first.
Nana.
Jacob looked up, sensing my tension. It's okay. Stay here. Keep eating. I approached the door carefully, every instinct on high alert, checked the peephole, and felt my blood run cold. 2 men in dark suits stood in the hallway. Clean cut. Professional. Government issue watches and subtle earpieces. They looked exactly like what they were. Federal agents. Or worse. Emily Hart. One called through the door. We need to speak with you. It's about your employment status. Employment status. That was code. That was a test to see if I'd open the door voluntarily or run. I glanced back at Jacob eating his sandwich, trusting and innocent and completely unaware that our entire world was about to collapse. I had seconds to decide. Open the door and talk, risking exposure but keeping Jacob calm. Or grab him and run out the fire escape, traumatizing him with a sudden break in routine but potentially saving our lives.
Nana. His voice was getting stressed.
Who is it? The men outside knocked again, harder. I opened the door 6 inches, keeping the chain lock engaged. Can I help you? Both men showed credentials. FBI. Special Agent Ross and Special Agent Chen. Except I knew better. FBI doesn't travel in pairs to question waitresses about employment issues. These were CIA, using federal cover to find out if I was the ghost they'd been hunting. We're investigating an incident at Giovanni's restaurant last night, Agent Ross said. His eyes scanned past me into the apartment, cataloging everything. You were involved in an altercation with a patron. He grabbed me. I removed his hand. Is there a crime in that? Depends on how you removed it. Witness reports say you dislocated his shoulder with a very specific combat technique. The kind taught in military close-quarters combat training. That's unusual for a waitress. My heart was pounding, but I kept my face calm.
Bored even.
I took a self-defense class after a bad experience a few years ago. The instructor was former military. Is that illegal? Agent Chen stepped closer. Where did you work before Giovanni's? Various restaurants. I move around a lot. Where did you grow up? Ohio. Small town. Is there a point to this? We'd like you to come to the field office. Answer some questions. Shouldn't take more than an hour. Which meant they wanted my fingerprints, my photo, my DNA if they could get it. The moment I walked into any federal building, facial recognition would flag me. Game over. Am I being charged with something? Not at this time. Then no. I have a son to care for. If you have actual questions, you can ask them here with my lawyer present. I started to close the door. Agent Ross put his hand on it, stopping me. We can make this easy or difficult, Miss Hart. Your choice. That's when Jacob screamed. Not a scared scream. A sensory overload scream. The kind that happened when too much stress built up and his nervous system couldn't process it anymore. The raised voices, the tension in the air, the disruption to his routine, it all crashed down on him at once. I turned and ran to him, forgetting the agents completely. He was on the floor, hands over his ears, rocking back and forth, making that high-pitched sound that broke my heart every single time. Jacob, baby, I'm here. You're safe. I knelt beside him. Not touching yet because touch made it worse during meltdowns. Can you hear Mama's voice? Follow my breathing.
In, out. In, out.
The agents appeared in the doorway, watching. I shot them a look that could kill. Get out.
Now.
Agent Ross raised his hands. We'll be in touch, Miss Hart. Soon. They left. I heard their footsteps retreating down the hall. But the damage was done. They'd seen Jacob. They'd seen inside my apartment. They had enough to start building a profile, and profiles led to identification, and identification led to termination orders. It took 20 minutes to calm Jacob down. I held him, rocked him, sang the song I always sang when the world got too loud. Eventually, his breathing slowed. His body relaxed. He slumped against me, exhausted. I'm sorry, baby. That was scary. But it's over now. Who were those men? Just some people asking questions. They're gone now. All gone. I don't like questions from strangers. I know. Me neither. I got him settled on the couch with his tablet and his weighted blanket, his favorite dinosaur documentary playing at low volume. Once he was calm and regulated, I stepped into my bedroom and let myself fall apart for exactly 3 minutes. Because that's all I had. 3 minutes to be terrified and overwhelmed before I had to become the mother, the protector, the survivor again. The CIA had found me. I had maybe 48 hours before they confirmed my identity and sent a real team, not just investigators. I needed to run. New city, new identity, uproot Jacob again just when he was finally thriving. Unless I could make them think I was dead. Stage something convincing. Disappear so thoroughly, they'd close the file and move on. I was mentally running through options when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Emily Hart. A man's voice. Deep, rough, slightly hoarse. Like it hurt to talk. Who is this? We met last night. You broke my arm.
Luca.
Luca Moretti was calling me. How the hell did he get my number? I'm sorry about that, I said carefully. You shouldn't have grabbed me. I know. I'm not calling about that.
He paused.
You had visitors this morning. Federal agents. I have people watching your building. Saw them go up, saw them leave. Thought you should know they're sitting in a car down the block. Watching. My blood turned to ice. I moved to the window, staying behind the curtain, and looked down. Sure enough, a black sedan was parked across the street with 2 figures inside. Why are you telling me this? Because I did some research on you after last night. Very interesting research. There's no Emily Hart before 2 years ago. Your social security number belonged to a woman who died in a car accident. Your employment history is fabricated. Your fingerprints aren't in any database, which is suspicious as hell. And the way you moved last night, the technique you used, that's not civilian training. That's operator-level skill. My hand tightened on the phone. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. And here's the thing. Whatever you're running from found you. Those agents aren't giving up. They're building a case. And when they move, they'll move fast. He paused. I can help. Why would you help me? I hurt you. Because you're interesting. Because I'm curious. Because maybe I'm tired of being surrounded by people who bore me. His voice dropped lower. And because anyone the feds are hunting that hard is someone I want to understand. So here's my offer. Meet me tonight. Neutral location. We talk. I'll tell you what I know, and you'll tell me what you're comfortable sharing. No pressure.
No threats.
Just conversation. And if I say no, then you're on your own against whatever's coming. Your choice, Emily. Or whatever your real name is. He gave me an address. A coffee shop in a neighborhood I didn't know. 10 o'clock tonight. Then he hung up. I stood there holding my phone, mind racing through scenarios. This could be a trap. Luca could be working with the CIA, using his resources to lure me out. Or he could be genuine, curious, potentially useful. Either way, I was cornered. The agents outside weren't leaving. My apartment was compromised. Jacob and I couldn't stay here much longer. I needed allies, information, options. And Luca Moretti, for all his danger, was offering exactly that.
Nana.
Jacob called from the living room. Is it park time? I checked my watch. 3:15.
Right on schedule for his routine.
Yes, baby. Park time. I helped him with his shoes, grabbed his communication cards in case he went nonverbal, and we headed downstairs. The agents watched us leave, but didn't follow. They were waiting for something bigger, some confirmation before they moved. At the park, Jacob played on the swings while I pushed him, both of us pretending everything was normal. But I was memorizing exits, calculating how fast I could grab him and run if necessary, always aware of our surroundings. Higher, Mama. I pushed him higher, watching his face light up with pure joy. This was what I'd given up everything to protect. These simple, beautiful moments of childhood that every kid deserved. Whatever happened next, whoever I had to trust or fight or become, it would all be worth it if Jacob got to keep smiling like this. That night, after his bedtime routine, after stories and songs and tucking his elephant just right, I called my neighbor, Mrs. Chin, an elderly woman who occasionally watched Jacob when I had evening shifts. I have an emergency meeting about a new job, I told her. Can you sit with Jacob for 2 hours? He's already asleep. You just need to be here in case he wakes up. She agreed. She was kind like that, never asked too many questions. At 9:45, I left my apartment building through the back entrance, avoiding the agents out front. I took 3 different buses, doubling back twice to confirm I wasn't being followed. The coffee shop was small, quiet, nearly empty at this hour. Luca sat in a back corner booth, his arm in a sling, his face shadowed but alert. Our eyes met across the room. And I realized, walking toward him, that this moment would change everything. That whatever happened next, whoever this man really was, my life would never be the same. I slid into the booth across from him. You came, he said. You knew I would. I hoped. He studied me with those intense eyes. You're in trouble. Real trouble. I can see it. And you want to help out of the goodness of your heart? His mouth curved into something dark and almost sad. I don't have a good heart, Emily. Everyone knows that. But I have resources. I have power. And right now, you need both. What do you want in return? The truth. Who you really are. What you're running from. Why someone like you is hiding as a waitress. He leaned forward. Because I looked into your eyes last night when you broke my arm, and I saw something I recognize. Someone who's killed before. Someone who knows exactly how dangerous the world really is. So tell me, Ghost. Who are you? I looked at this man, this criminal, this stranger who somehow saw straight through every layer of protection I'd built. And I made a choice that would either save my life or end it. My name isn't Emily Hart, I said quietly. And the people looking for me don't give up. Ever. If you help me, you become a target too. Are you sure that's what you want? Luca's smile was sharp and genuine. Sweetheart, I've been a target my whole life. At least this time, I'll have interesting company. And just like that, the alliance formed. The deal made. Two dangerous people deciding to trust each other, even though trust was the most dangerous thing either of us could offer. Outside, the CIA was closing in. But inside this coffee shop, something unexpected was beginning. Something that looked a lot like hope. I told Luca everything. Not because I trusted him completely, but because the CIA was circling and I was out of options, and sometimes survival means taking calculated risks with dangerous people. My real name is classified, I started. The agency called me Artemis. I was recruited at 21, straight out of college where I'd been studying linguistics and international relations. They told me I'd be serving my country, making the world safer. All the patriotic garbage they feed idealistic kids who don't know any better. Luca listened without interrupting, his eyes never leaving my face. I was good at it. Too good. Close quarters combat. Infiltration. Intelligence extraction. I spent 4 years doing jobs that officially never happened in countries we officially weren't operating in. And then Budapest happened. I told him about the journalist, the family, Crawford's orders to eliminate everyone. About refusing and being marked for termination. About running, disappearing, building Emily Hart from nothing. And Jacob, he asked quietly. He's mine. Really mine. His father was a one-night thing during an operation I can barely remember. But Jacob is everything.
He's why I ran.
Why I can't let them find me. My voice cracked. He has sensory processing disorder. He needs routines, stability, a mother who comes home every night. If the CIA takes me, he goes into the system. Foster care. Institutions that won't understand him. I won't let that happen. Luca was quiet for a long moment. Then he reached across the table and did something completely unexpected. He took my hand. Not aggressively. Not possessively. Gently. Like he understood exactly how much courage it took to tell him all of this. They won't take you, he said. I won't let them. You don't understand what you're offering. These aren't local cops or rival gangs. This is the CIA. They have unlimited resources. They don't stop. Neither do I. His grip tightened slightly. I have safe houses they don't know about. Security they can't penetrate. Money they can't trace. And most importantly, I have people who are very good at making problems disappear.
Why?
Why would you risk all of that for someone you just met? He smiled then, and it transformed his entire face. Made him look younger, less dangerous, almost vulnerable. Because you're the first person in 10 years who treated me like a human being instead of a monster. You warned me before you hurt me. You could have done worse, I know that now. But you used exactly enough force to stop me, and no more. That's discipline.
Control.
It's what I wish I had more of. You're a mafia boss. You've killed people. 37, he said flatly. I've killed 37 people. Some deserved it. Some were just business. And some haunt me every single night when I try to sleep. So yes, I'm a monster. But even monsters get tired of being alone. The honesty in his voice shook something loose inside me. This wasn't manipulation. This was real.
Raw.
Two people who'd been forced to be weapons their entire lives, finally meeting someone who understood. If I agree to this, I said slowly, it's not just about me. Jacob comes too. Whatever happens, wherever we go, he's part of this.
Non negotiable.
I wouldn't have it any other way. And I need to know what you expect in return. Nobody helps for free, especially not in your world. Luca leaned back, studying me with those whiskey-colored eyes. I expect honesty, loyalty while we're working together. And maybe, if you're willing, I'd like you to teach me some of what you know. I've been running on instinct and violence my whole life.
You were trained by the best.
I want to learn from someone who actually knows what they're doing. It was a fair trade. Protection and resources in exchange for training and alliance. But there was something else in his eyes. Something that looked like loneliness, like hope, like maybe he wanted more than just a business arrangement. And God help me, I felt it too. That pull, that connection. This man who should terrify me instead made me feel seen in a way I hadn't felt in years. Okay, I said. We have a deal. But we need to move fast. Those agents aren't waiting much longer. Already handled. I have people moving your things as we speak. You and Jacob will stay at one of my properties. Completely off-grid. No paper trail. My men are cleaning your apartment now, removing any trace evidence. By tomorrow morning, Emily Hart will have vanished without a trace. What about Mrs. Chen? My neighbor who's watching Jacob? She'll be compensated generously for her silence and told you had a family emergency out of state. She won't ask questions. I should have been angry that he'd already started moving pieces without my permission. But instead, I felt relieved. Someone else was handling things. Someone competent. Someone who understood how high the stakes were. When do we leave?
Now.
Tonight. I have a car waiting. We pick up Jacob and we disappear. 40 minutes later, I was back in my apartment building, using the back entrance again. Mrs. Chun was watching television in my living room. Jacob was still asleep, his elephant clutched tight, his weighted blanket exactly where I'd left it. Everything okay, dear? Mrs. Chun asked. Family emergency. My mother is sick. I need to take Jacob and go tonight. I'm so sorry for the short notice. She patted my hand, kindly. Family comes first. I hope your mother recovers. I paid her double what I'd promised and waited for her to leave. Then I moved quickly, efficiently, packing only essentials. Jacob's comfort items. His medicine. His communication cards. Changes of clothes. Important documents I'd need to prove his medical needs. I was zipping up the second bag when I heard it. A sound that made my blood freeze. The apartment door opening. Quietly.
Carefully.
The way professionals move when they're trying not to be heard. I grabbed the knife from my kitchen counter and moved silently toward Jacob's bedroom. Positioned myself between him and whoever was coming. Two figures appeared in the hallway. Not the FBI agents from earlier. These were tactical. Black gear. Suppressors on their weapons. Night vision goggles pushed up on their heads. Teyaklaners. Here to terminate the asset and eliminate any witnesses. Step away from the child, one of them said, his voice flat and professional. This doesn't have to involve him. Like hell it doesn't. I kept my body between them and Jacob's door. You take one more step, and I promise you won't leave this apartment alive. The second one laughed. You're not armed. We have superior position and firepower. Stand down, Artemis. Make this easy. That's when Luca appeared behind them. I don't know how he got into my building without being seen. Don't know how he moved so quietly through the hallway. But suddenly he was there, his own weapon pressed against the first cleaner's head. I think the lady told you to stop, Luca said calmly. The second cleaner spun, raising his weapon. I moved instantly, closing the distance, disarming him with a technique that took 2 seconds and left him unconscious on my floor. The first cleaner tried to turn on Luca. Bad decision. Luca's injured arm might have been in a sling, but his other hand was perfectly functional. He pistol-whipped the cleaner hard enough to drop him. Silence. 2 unconscious CIA operatives on my apartment floor. Luca looking at me with something like admiration. And Jacob's voice from his bedroom.
Mama?
I heard loud noises. I dropped the knife and ran to him. He was sitting up in bed, his elephant in his lap, his eyes wide but not panicked yet. It's okay, baby. We're going on an adventure. Remember how I told you sometimes we might need to travel suddenly? This is one of those times. But it's nighttime. Nighttime is for sleeping. I know. But this is a special adventure. We're going to stay somewhere new for a little while. Somewhere safe and quiet. Can you be brave for Mama? He nodded slowly. Can I bring Elephant? Elephant comes everywhere. Get your headphones too. It might be loud outside. I got him dressed quickly, his weighted vest on to help him stay calm, his headphones around his neck. Luca was already dragging the unconscious cleaners into my bathroom, zip-tying their hands and feet, gagging them. They'll wake up in an hour, he said. We need to be gone in 5 minutes. There might be more outside. There are.
3 in the lobby.
2 in vehicles. My men are handling them. Your men? You think I came alone? I brought 8 guys. Ex-military. Very good at their jobs. He hefted one of my bags. Let's go. We moved fast. Down the back stairs, out through the basement entrance, into an alley where a black SUV waited with tinted windows and a driver who didn't ask questions. I buckled Jacob into the back seat. He was handling the disruption better than I'd expected, his elephant clutch tight, his headphones on now, blocking out some of the overwhelming stimulation.
Lucas lead beside me.
The SUV pulled out, smooth and fast, navigating side streets away from my building. Where are we going? I asked. Safe house in the countryside. An hour outside the city. Property is under a shell corporation 5 layers deep. No way to trace it to me. The house is secured, monitored, and stocked with everything you and Jacob will need. I watched the city lights blur past the window, processing everything that had just happened. The CIA had sent a kill team. Luca had saved our lives. And now I was completely dependent on a man I'd known for less than 24 hours. Thank you, I said quietly, for coming, for helping, for everything. He looked at me, and in the dim light of the SUV, his eyes were softer than I'd ever seen them. You're welcome, Ghost. But we're not safe yet. The CIA knows you're alive and fighting back. They'll escalate. More teams. Better surveillance. They won't stop until they confirm your termination. So, what do? We make them think they succeeded. We stage your death so convincingly they close your file and move on. He paused. And while we do that, I teach you how to disappear into my world. And you teach me how to be something more than what I've always been. Jacob fell asleep 20 minutes into the drive, his head resting against my shoulder, his breathing slow and even. I stroked his hair gently, watching the city disappear behind us, heading toward an uncertain future with a dangerous man who'd just proven he'd kill to protect me. Luca made a phone call, speaking in rapid Italian to someone on the other end. I caught fragments. Plans for the safe house. Security rotations. Supply deliveries. When he hung up, he noticed me watching him. You speak Italian? He asked. Fluently. Also French, Arabic, and Mandarin. CIA required language training. Useful. My mother was Italian. Immigrated here when she was 16. She made sure I grew up speaking both languages. His voice softened. She died when I was 17. Cancer. I took over the family business too young, too angry, and made mistakes that got people killed. Is that what you feel guilty about? The people you couldn't save?
Some of them.
My younger brother, mostly. Tommaso. He was innocent.
Kind.
Wanted to be a teacher, not a criminal. But my enemies didn't care. They killed him to hurt me. Lucas stared out the window. He was 22. Had his whole life ahead of him. And I got him killed because I wasn't careful enough. I understood that guilt. That weight. The people we couldn't save haunted us more than the people we'd killed. I'm sorry, I said. Don't be. It made me who I am.
Cold.
Careful. Ruthless. But maybe that's the problem. Maybe I've been so focused on survival I forgot how to actually live. He turned to look at me then, really look at me, and something passed between us. Understanding. Recognition. The beginning of something neither of us had expected. You're good with him, Lucas said, nodding toward Jacob. Your son. The way you handled him during that meltdown earlier today. Patient.
Calm.
My mother used to be like that with Tommaso when he got overwhelmed. It's a gift. It's necessity. Jacob needs predictability. Structure. If I'm not calm, he can't be calm. But I love him more than anything in this world. He's the only truly good thing I've ever created. Then we'll protect him, whatever it takes. The safe house appeared an hour later, exactly as Luca described. A large property surrounded by woods, the main house set back from the road, security cameras visible at every entrance. Modern but comfortable. Not the cold warehouse I'd been expecting. Luca's men were already there, patrolling the perimeter. I carried Jacob inside, still sleeping, and found a bedroom already set up for him. Someone had anticipated his needs. A weighted blanket, a white noise machine, blackout curtains, even a stuffed elephant similar to his own, in case his got lost. I laid him down gently, tucking his elephant beside him, and watched him settle into sleep without waking. My brave, beautiful boy who'd been uprooted again but would wake up safe. When I came back downstairs, Luca was in the kitchen, making coffee despite the late hour. Your men set up Jacob's room, I said. How did they know what he needed? I told them. You mentioned his condition. I did research. Made sure the house was prepared. He handed me a mug. I don't do things halfway, Emily. When I commit to protecting someone, I commit completely. I took the coffee, our fingers brushing, and felt that spark again. That dangerous pull toward this man, who should be my enemy, but instead felt like the first person in years who actually saw me. The CIA will regroup, I said, forcing myself to focus. Tonight was just the first wave. They'll send more. Let them. This property is a fortress. My men are loyal and well-trained, and now I know what we're up against. He leaned against the counter, studying me. But you're right. We need a permanent solution. We need to make them believe you're dead, which means we need to give them a body. A body. Not a real one. A staged crime scene. Dental records that match your fake identity. DNA evidence. Enough proof that when they investigate, they confirm Emily Hart died in a home invasion gone wrong. It was brilliant and terrifying. That takes resources. Connections. People willing to falsify federal evidence. I have all of that. The question is, are you ready to die? To let Emily Hart disappear forever and become someone new? I thought about my apartment.
My job.
The life I'd built that was already gone. And I thought about Jacob sleeping upstairs, safe for the first time in days. Emily Hart was always temporary, I said. I can be someone else. As long as Jacob is safe, I can be anyone. Luca smiled then, genuine and warm. Then we start tomorrow. New identity. New life. But tonight, you rest. You're safe here, Ghost. I promise. I wanted to believe him. Wanted to trust that this dangerous, complicated man could actually keep that promise. And against all logic, all training, all survival instinct, I did believe him. Because when Luca Moretti looked at me, he didn't see a weapon or an asset or a problem to solve. He saw a woman worth protecting. And I was starting to see that maybe, just maybe, the monster everyone feared was actually the man I'd been waiting for my entire life. The first 3 days at the safe house fell into an unexpected rhythm. Jacob adapted better than I'd hoped. The house was quiet, surrounded by nature, with consistent routines I could maintain. Luca's men kept their distance but were always present, creating a security bubble that let Jacob explore the property without me constantly looking over my shoulder. Luca himself was a revelation. He'd disappear for hours handling business, then return and sit with Jacob, watching dinosaur documentaries without complaint. He learned Jacob's communication cards, his sensory needs, his specific routines. He never pushed for physical contact, understanding instinctively that Jacob needed space and warning before anyone touched him. You're good with him, I said on the third evening, watching Luca help Jacob build an elaborate dinosaur scene with plastic figures. He's easy to be good with.
He's honest.
Says exactly what he means. No games.
No manipulation.
Luca positioned a T-Rex carefully where Jacob pointed. I wish more adults were like that. Jacob looked up at him seriously. You have tattoos. Do they hurt? They hurt when I got them. But not anymore. Why did you get them? To remember important things. See this one? He showed Jacob the elaborate design on his forearm. That's for my brother, who died. I want to remember him always. I'm sorry your brother died. Death makes people sad. Yes, it does. But talking about them helps. Remembering the good things. Jacob nodded, processing this with his characteristic intensity. Then he went back to arranging his dinosaurs, satisfied with the answer. I caught Luca's eye across the room. He smiled slightly, and my heart did something complicated in my chest. This wasn't supposed to happen. I wasn't supposed to feel safe with him. Wasn't supposed to catch myself watching him when he wasn't looking, noticing the way he moved, the rare genuine smiles he saved for moments with Jacob, the gentleness hidden under all that violence. But I did. I felt all of it. That night, after Jacob was asleep, Luca and I sat in the living room going over plans for staging my death. His contacts had acquired a Jane Doe body from the morgue, unclaimed and scheduled for cremation. The woman was approximately my age, height, and build. Enough similarity that with the right staging, she could pass as Emily Hart. The apartment is already cleaned, Luca explained, showing me photos on his tablet. My people made it look like a home invasion. Forced entry. Signs of struggle. They'll plant the body tomorrow, burn it enough to require dental identification, but not so much it's suspicious. And the dental records? Already filed. Your fake identity had dental records created when you first established Emily Hart. Those records will match the body. He paused. The FBI is investigating your disappearance. They found the cleaners you and I dealt with, but those men aren't talking. CIA won't officially acknowledge they sent a kill team, so the FBI is treating it as a missing person case. Until they find the body. Exactly. They'll investigate, confirm identity through dental records, and close the case. Emily Hart died in a home invasion. Tragic, but not unusual in that neighborhood. The CIA will get the report, verify their asset is terminated, and move on. It should have felt wrong, staging an innocent woman's death as my own. But that woman was already dead, already unclaimed. At least this way, her death served a purpose. Gave my son a future. What about after? I asked. After Emily Hart is officially dead? What's my new identity? Luca pulled out a folder. Inside was everything. Birth certificate, social security card, driver's license, medical records. All for a woman named Diana Russo, 27 years old, originally from Boston, recently moved to the area to be closer to family. Diana is legitimate, Luca said. Real person, real history. She moved to Italy 3 years ago, married an Italian citizen, and has no plans to return to the States. I bought her identity through a contact. She's being compensated generously for her cooperation. I studied the documents. The photo on the license was me, but different. Darker hair. Colored contacts, changing my eyes from blue to brown. I looked like Emily, but not enough that casual recognition would trigger. Jacob's paperwork is being updated to match, Luca continued. Diana Russo's son, same medical history, same needs. Everything transfers cleanly. And Diana happens to work for one of my legitimate businesses as a consultant, which means you'll have income, insurance, a paper trail that holds up to scrutiny. You've thought of everything. I told you. I don't do things halfway. He looked at me intently. But there's something else we need to discuss. Your training. You offered to teach me, and I want to take you up on that. But I also think we should train together. Combine what you know with what I know. Make both of us more effective.
Why?
You're already dangerous enough. Because the CIA isn't the only threat. My world has enemies too. Rival families. Ambitious underlings. Federal investigations. If we're going to survive long-term, we need to be prepared for anything. He was right. I knew he was right. But training together meant trust. Physical contact. Vulnerability. All the things that complicated the attraction already building between us. Okay, I agreed. We start tomorrow. But I warn you, I don't go easy during training. His smile was sharp. Good. Neither do I. The next morning, after getting Jacob settled with one of Luca's men who'd volunteered to watch dinosaur documentaries, Luca and I went to the basement. He'd converted it into a full training facility.
Mutts. Weights.
Heavy bags. Everything we'd need.
Show me what you can do, I said.
He moved.
Fast, brutal, effizient.
Street fighting mixed with boxing, practical and vicious. He knew how to hurt people, how to end fights quickly. But there were gaps. Openings. Techniques that worked against untrained opponents but would fail against someone with real skill. When he finished the demonstration, he was breathing hard, his injured arm still in the sling but compensating well with the other. Your turn, he said. I moved through a series of combinations. Strikes, grapples, submissions. Everything I'd been taught at the agency, refined over years of field work. Precision over power. Control over chaos. When I stopped, Luca was staring at me with something like awe. You're beautiful when you fight, he said quietly. Dangerous. Perfect. The air between us charged with something electric. We were standing close, both breathing hard, both hyper-aware of each other. Again, I said, forcing focus. This time, I'll show you what you're doing wrong. We trained for 2 hours. I corrected his stance, showed him better techniques, taught him how to read an opponent's body language before they moved. He was a fast learner, adapting quickly, pushing himself hard. At one point, demonstrating a takedown, I ended up pinning him to the mat. Our faces inches apart. His eyes dark and intense. My heart racing for more than just exertion. If this were real, I said, slightly breathless, you'd be unconscious or dead right now. If this were real, he replied, his voice rough, I'd have used every dirty trick I know to avoid ending up under you. But I'm not complaining about the position. I should have moved. Should have maintained professional distance. Instead, I stayed there, pinning him, feeling his chest rise and fall beneath me, seeing something in his eyes that made my breath catch. Emily, he said softly. My fake name, but the way he said it made it sound real. Important. I need to tell you something.
What?
I'm falling for you. I know it's too fast. I know it's complicated. I know you have every reason not to trust me.
But I need you to know.
This isn't just about protection or alliance anymore. At least not for me. My heart hammered against my ribs. Luca, I can't. I have Jacob. I have the CIA hunting me. I have a life that's complete chaos. I can't drag you into something romantic when everything is already so complicated. You're not dragging me anywhere. I'm choosing this. Choosing you. His good hand came up, gently touching my face. I know you feel it too. This connection. I see how you look at me when you think I'm not watching. Feeling something doesn't mean acting on it is smart. When has smart ever mattered to people like us? We've spent our whole lives being weapons. Maybe it's time we let ourselves be human. Make mistakes.
Take risks.
Feel something real. I wanted to argue. Wanted to list all the reasons this was a terrible idea. But lying there, pinning this dangerous man who looked at me like I was something precious instead of deadly, all my arguments felt hollow. If we do this, I said carefully, it can't interfere with keeping Jacob safe. He comes first. Always. I wouldn't respect you if he didn't. And if the CIA finds us again, if things go bad, you can't sacrifice yourself for me. Jacob needs his mother. He doesn't need a hero. I'll do my best. But I'm not great at following orders when people I care about are in danger. I laughed despite myself. I noticed. His thumb traced my cheekbone gently. So, is that a yes? Are you willing to see where this goes? Instead of answering with words, I kissed him. It was supposed to be quick.
A test.
A way to see if the attraction was real, or just adrenaline and proximity. But the moment our lips touched, something ignited. His good arm wrapped around me, pulling me closer. I deepened the kiss, months of loneliness and fear melting away in the heat between us. He kissed like he fought, intense and focused, giving me his complete attention. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard. He smiled at me with genuine happiness I'd never seen on his face before. "I've wanted to do that since you broke my arm," he admitted. "That's a weird thing to find attractive." "You're a weird woman." "I like weird." We lay there on the training mat, not quite ready to move, existing in this bubble where the outside world didn't matter. Then my phone rang. Luca's personal number that only his inner circle had. He answered, his expression shifting immediately from soft to hard.
"When?"
"How many?" "Understood. Lock down the perimeter. Nobody gets close." He hung up and looked at me, all business now. "CIA has traced activity to this area. They're canvassing properties. We have maybe 12 hours before they get close enough to be a real threat." The bubble burst. Reality crashed back. "We need to move again?"
"No."
"We stand our ground. This property is defensible. My men are prepared. And tomorrow, Emily Hart's body will be discovered. Once they confirm your death, the search ends." He stood, offering me his good hand. "But tonight, we prepare for a siege." I took his hand, letting him pull me up. "How many men do you have here?" 12. All ex-military or law enforcement. Well armed, well trained. If the CIA sends another team, we'll be ready. And if they send more than one team? His jaw tightened. Then we find out exactly how far I'm willing to go to protect you. The next 6 hours were preparation. Checking weapons. Running security drills. Making sure Jacob's room was the most fortified location in the house. Luca brought in additional men, expanding the security perimeter. Jacob sensed the tension. Started getting anxious, stimming more than usual, needing extra reassurance. I spent an hour with him, doing deep pressure exercises, reading his favorite books, maintaining as much routine as possible despite everything changing around us. "Mama, are the people coming back?" The loud people from our old home. I couldn't lie to him. "Maybe, baby. But Luca and his friends are here to keep us safe. Nothing bad will happen. I promise." Luca is nice. He knows about dinosaurs. He is nice. And very strong. He'll protect us. "Okay." Jacob relaxed slightly, trusting my words absolutely. "Can we have spaghetti for dinner?"
"It's Tuesday."
"We have spaghetti on Tuesday." "We absolutely can have spaghetti on Tuesday." Maintaining his routine while the world threatened to explode around us. That was my life now. And somehow, impossibly, I was managing it. That night, after Jacob was asleep, Luca found me on the back porch. I was scanning the tree, every sense alert for threats. "You should rest," he said, standing beside me.
"Can't."
"Too wired. Your son will need you strong tomorrow." "I know. But I can't stop thinking about all the ways this could go wrong." Luca turned me to face him, his hands gentle on my shoulders. "Listen to me.
Tomorrow, Emily Hart dies.
The CIA closes your file. And you get to start over as Diana. With Jacob. With me, if you'll have me. This nightmare ends. And if it doesn't, then we fight. Together. Like we've been doing." He pulled me close, and I let myself lean into his strength. "You're not alone anymore, Ghost. That's what matters." I wrapped my arms around him, feeling his heart beat steady against my ear. For the first time in 2 years, I wasn't carrying everything by myself. Someone was sharing the weight. "Thank you," I whispered. "For what?" "For seeing me. For protecting Jacob. For making me feel human again." His arms tightened around me. "You make me feel human too. That's worth fighting for." We stood there under the stars, 2 deadly people holding each other like we were fragile, while a dozen armed men patrolled the darkness and the CIA circled closer. Tomorrow would bring answers. Resolution. Freedom or catastrophe. But tonight, in Luca's arms, I let myself believe we might actually survive this. Together. Morning came with sirens. I woke to the sound of police radios crackling through the security monitors Luca had set up in every room. The apartment.
Emily Hart's apartment.
They'd found the body.
Nana.
Jacob stood in my doorway, his elephant tucked under his arm. "Why are there sirens on the TV?" "Just the news, baby." Come here. Let's get breakfast started. I guided him downstairs, where Luca was already watching multiple news feeds on his laptop. Local stations were covering it. Breaking news. Body discovered in apartment fire. Victim identified as Emily Hart, 27, single mother. Police investigating possible home invasion. They're buying it, Luca said quietly, so Jacob wouldn't hear. The dental records matched. FBI is on scene. They'll notify the CIA within hours. I should have felt relief. Instead, I felt numb. Watching my own death reported on television while making my son breakfast was surreal in ways I couldn't process. Mama, can I have pancakes? It's Wednesday. We have pancakes on Wednesday. Pancakes coming right up, baby. I made pancakes. Luca helped, learning how Jacob liked them cut into specific shapes. We existed in this strange domestic bubble, while the world outside confirmed my death. My phone buzzed. A burner number I didn't recognize. I stepped into the other room to answer. Artemis is confirmed terminated. Crawford's voice. My former handler. Cold as ever. Body recovered. Dental match. Case closed. Congratulations on your freedom. This conversation never happened. He hung up before I could respond. Not that I would have. What do you say to the man who ordered your execution and now believed you were dead? I walked back to the kitchen where Luca was showing Jacob how to flip a pancake. It's done, I said. They believe it. I'm officially dead. Luca met my eyes across the room. Diana Russo goes to the DMV tomorrow to get her license updated with her new address. Fresh start. Clean slate. Clean slate, I repeated. The words felt hollow. Jacob finished his pancakes and went to play in the living room, where Luca's men had set up a whole dinosaur display for him. I started cleaning up, moving on autopilot, processing everything that had just changed. Hey. Luca touched my shoulder gently. You okay? I don't know. I should be happy, relieved. But instead, I just feel empty. Like I killed a part of myself that I can't get back. You didn't kill anything. You evolved. Became someone new. That's survival, not death. Is it? Because right now I don't know who I am anymore. Not Artemis. Not Emily. Not really Diana yet. Just this woman pretending to be normal while everything inside me is still screaming danger. Luca pulled me close, and I let myself collapse against him. You're the woman who fought impossible odds to save her son. You're the woman who broke my arm and somehow made me want to be better. You're the woman I'm falling in love with more every single day. That's who you are. I looked up at him. You can't love me. You barely know me. I know enough. I know you're brave.
Fierce. Loyal.
I know you'd burn down the world for the people you love. I know when you smile at Jacob, it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I know when you kiss me, everything else disappears. His hand cupped my face. That's enough. More than enough. I kissed him then. Deep and desperate. Trying to prove to myself I could still feel something beyond fear and exhaustion. The kiss was interrupted by shouting from the living room. We broke apart and ran. Jacob was having a meltdown, full sensory overload, screaming and hitting himself. One of Luca's men stood nearby looking helpless and terrified. What happened? I dropped to my knees beside Jacob, not touching yet. I don't know, the guard stammered. He was fine. Then suddenly, he just started screaming. Jacob, baby, I'm here. Can you hear Mama? Follow my breathing. In, out. In, out. But he wasn't calming. He was escalating, that high-pitched sound that meant his nervous system was completely overwhelmed. Luca, I need his weighted blanket, top shelf in his closet, and his headphones. And turn off all the TVs. Too much noise. Luca moved fast, getting everything I needed. I wrapped Jacob in his weighted blanket, got his headphones on, started singing the song that always helped. Slowly, gradually, he began to calm. His breathing slowed. His hands stopped hitting. He slumped against me, exhausted.
I'm sorry, Mana.
I'm sorry. No sorry, baby. You didn't do anything wrong. Your body just got overwhelmed. That happens. It's okay. I don't like new places. I want to go home. My heart broke. I know, sweetheart. But we're building a new home. A safe home. And I promise it's going to be wonderful. Will Luca be there? I glanced at Luca, who was watching us with something raw and vulnerable in his eyes. Would you like Luca to be there? I asked Jacob. Jacob nodded against my shoulder. He's nice. He doesn't get mad when I need things just right. Then yes, Luca will be there. It took another hour to get Jacob fully regulated and settled. By then it was time for his occupational therapy, which we'd been doing virtually since moving to the safe house. I set him up with his tablet and Miss Karen while Luca and I stepped outside. He asked for me, Luca said quietly. Your son wants me around. He trusts you. That's huge. Jacob doesn't trust easily. Neither do you. But you're letting me in anyway. I don't have much choice. You saved our lives. That's not why you're letting me in. He moved closer. You feel this too. This connection. Tell me I'm not imagining it. You're not imagining it. But Luca, I come with complications. Jacob will always need extra support. There will be meltdowns and hard days and routines that can't be broken. I can't be the woman who drops everything to follow you around the city. I have responsibilities. I know.
I'm not asking you to change.
I'm asking you to let me be part of it. The routines. The hard days. The good days. All of it.
Why?
Most men would run from this much complication. I'm not most men. And Jacob isn't a complication. He's a gift. A reminder that there's still innocence and honesty in this world. Something worth protecting. Luca's voice dropped. My brother was like Jacob. Not the same exactly, but he processed the world differently too. Got overwhelmed easily. Needed things to be calm and predictable. I failed him. I let him get killed because I was too focused on business and power. I won't fail Jacob. Or you. Tears burned my eyes. You didn't fail your brother. You were a kid yourself, forced into an impossible situation. Maybe. But I can do better now. Be better. If you'll let me. I kissed him again, softer this time. Gentler. Okay. We try this. Really try. But if it gets too dangerous, if your world threatens Jacob, I disappear. No questions.
No negociations.
Fair enough. But I won't let it get to that point. We went back inside where Jacob had finished his therapy session and was building an elaborate dinosaur scene. He looked up when we entered. Mama, can we stay here? I like this house. It's quiet. And the windows have nice curtains that make the light soft. I looked at Luca. He nodded slightly. We can stay here for a while, baby. Would you like that?
Yes.
And Luca can teach me more about his brother's favorite dinosaurs. He said Tommaso liked the plant eaters best. My heart clenched. Luca had told Jacob about his brother. Shared something precious and painful. That meant something. That sounds perfect, I said. The rest of the day passed quietly.
Peacefully.
For the first time in years, I wasn't looking over my shoulder every second. Wasn't calculating escape routes. Wasn't running. That night, after Jacob was asleep, Luca and I sat on the back porch again. Stars filled the sky. The property was silent except for the night sounds of the forest and the occasional check-in from a security team. I have something for you, Luca said, pulling out an envelope. Your new identity documents. Everything you need to be Diana Russo, officially. And something else. He handed me a second envelope. Inside was a bank account number, a debit card, and a letter explaining that Diana Russo had been left a trust fund from a deceased relative. Enough money to support Jacob and me comfortably for years. Luca, I can't accept this. Yes, you can. You earned it by surviving. By protecting your son. By trusting me when you had every reason not to.
Take it.
Build a life. And if you decide that life includes me, I'll be grateful. But if not, you'll still be secure. I looked at this man who'd given me everything. Safety. Identity. A future. And somehow, impossibly, love. Thank you, I whispered. For all of it. Thank you for letting me be part of it. We sat in comfortable silence, his arm around me, my head on his shoulder. Two people who'd been weapons learning how to be human. Everything should have been perfect. But deep down, some instinct was whispering that this peace wouldn't last. That something was coming. Something I couldn't see yet, but could feel building in the shadows. I pushed the feeling away. Tonight, I chose to believe in happy endings. Tomorrow would bring whatever it brought. But tonight, I was safe. Jacob was safe. And Luca was holding me like I was something precious. That was enough. It had to be enough. 3 weeks of peace. 3 weeks of building routines with Jacob, training with Luca, becoming Diana Russo. 3 weeks of believing we'd actually escaped. Then Vincent called. Vincent, my old manager from Giovanni's. The man who'd fired me. I almost didn't answer the unknown number, but something made me pick up. Emily?
Emily Hart.
My blood froze. Who is this? It's Vincent. From the restaurant. I know you're supposed to be dead. I saw the news. But I also know that body wasn't you. I stepped outside immediately, away from where Jacob was playing. I don't know what you're talking about. 2 men came to the restaurant yesterday. Government types. They showed me photos. Asked questions about you. About the night with Luca Moretti. They said the dental records matched, but something felt wrong. They're reopening the investigation.
No.
No, this couldn't be happening. What did you tell them? Nothing. I said you were a good employee, who kept to yourself. But Emily, they're not convinced you're dead. They're looking for proof you're alive. Why are you telling me this? Vincent was quiet for a moment. Because you were kind to me when my wife was sick. Worked extra shifts without complaint. Helped when I needed it. I figure I owe you a warning. Be careful. These men aren't normal investigators. He hung up. I stood there, phone in hand, feeling everything I'd built crumbling around me. Luca found me 10 minutes later. I was pacing, trying to breathe, trying not to panic. What's wrong? They know. The CIA knows something's wrong with the body. They're investigating again. It's not over. Okay, we handle this. We move to another property. Disappear deeper. For how long? They didn't believe it the first time. They won't stop until they have proof I'm dead or proof I'm alive. Either way, I lose. Not if we're smart. Not if we plan this right. But I could see the worry in his eyes. The calculation. He was already running scenarios, trying to figure out how to protect me from an enemy that never quit. That night, Jacob woke up screaming. A nightmare about loud people and bright lights. I held him for an hour, singing, rocking, promising safety. I wasn't sure I could deliver anymore. Mama, are we going to run again?
No, baby.
We're staying right here. I promise. But promises felt hollow now. Everything felt unstable, like standing on ice that was cracking beneath my feet. 2 days later, Luca's phone rang. One of his men on the perimeter. 3 vehicles approaching. Government plates. At least 10 operatives. They found us, Luca said, his voice hard. Get Jacob to the safe room.
Now. I ran.
Grabbed Jacob from where he was watching his dinosaur show. He immediately started protesting, not understanding why his routine was breaking. Mama, it's not time to move. It's TV time. I know, baby. But we're playing a hiding game. Remember? Like we practiced? We'd done drills. Prepared him for this possibility. But drills weren't reality. Reality was terrifying. I got him into the reinforced room in the basement. Soundproofed. Stocked with supplies. His comfort items already there. I activated the lock from inside. Through the security monitors, I could see Luca and his men taking positions. The vehicles stopped at the perimeter. Operatives emerged, tactical gear, weapons ready. But they didn't attack. They waited. Then a man stepped forward. Crawford, my former handler, speaking into a megaphone. Artemis, I know you're in there. I know the body wasn't you. And I know you're protecting the child. Come out. Let's talk. Nobody needs to get hurt. Don't believe him, I whispered to Luca through the comms link. He's lying. The moment I show myself, we're all dead. Then we don't show you. We negotiate from strength. Luca walked out onto the front porch, unarmed, hands visible. Confident. Dangerous even without weapons. You're on private property, Luca called out. Leave now or face consequences. Crawford laughed. Mr. Moretti, we know who you are. We know what you are. We also know you're harboring a wanted fugitive. A former CIA operative who stole classified information and faked her death. That's a federal crime. Prove it. We have witnesses who saw Emily Hart enter this property 3 weeks ago. We have surveillance photos. We have evidence she's alive and you're protecting her. Surrender her now, and we'll consider not prosecuting you as an accessory. And if I refuse, then we come in and take her. And anyone who stands in our way becomes an enemy of the United States government. Jacob was crying softly beside me. The stress, the fear in my body, he could feel all of it. I pulled him close, trying to stay calm for his sake.
Nana, ingskared.
I know, baby. But we're safe in here. Nothing can hurt us. On the monitor, I watched Lucas stand his ground. You want her, you come through me and 12 armed men who don't care about government badges. Your move. Crawford's expression hardened. He gestured to his team. They started advancing. Luca, get inside. Don't do this. I was screaming into the comms now. I'm not letting them take you. They'll kill you. Then I die protecting something that matters. Better than dying for nothing. The first shots fired. Luca's men returned fire. Chaos erupted. Jacob screamed, hands over his ears, completely overwhelmed. I held him, singing through my own terror, trying to block out the sounds of warfare happening above us. Minutes felt like hours. The gunfire stopped. Then silence. Terrible, complete silence. I checked the monitors with shaking hands. Bodies on the ground. Luca's men. Crawford's team. But I couldn't see Luca.
Luca?
Luca, answer me. Nothing. Luca, please. Please answer me.
Static.
Then his voice, weak and pained. Got shot. Shoulder. Not fatal. But they're retreating. We held them off. Relief crashed through me. Stay there. I'm coming up.
No.
Stay with Jacob. They might regroup. But I was already unlocking the safe room door. I got Jacob settled with his headphones and his tablet. The door relocked from outside. Then I ran upstairs. Luca was in the living room, his men applying pressure to his shoulder wound. Blood everywhere. His face pale but conscious. I told you to stay downstairs, he said through gritted teeth. And I told you not to sacrifice yourself for me. I knelt beside him, assessing the wound. Bullet went through.
Clean.
You'll live. But we need to get you to a hospital.
No hospitals.
Too many questions. I have a doctor who handles this quietly. His phone was already ringing. His men coordinating cleanup, calling the discreet medical help Luca kept on retainer for exactly these situations. I held his good hand, feeling how close I'd come to losing him. This man who'd become everything in such a short time. Don't ever do that again, I whispered. Make me a promise then. If they come back, if it gets too dangerous, you take Jacob and run.
Don't worry about me.
Just survive. I can't leave you. Yes, you can. Because he needs his mother more than I need you to stay. Promise me, Diana. He used my new name, acknowledging that Emily was dead, that I was someone different now.
I promise, I lid.
Because I knew, standing there covered in his blood, that I couldn't leave him any more than he could abandon me. We were bound now, for better or worse. The doctor arrived 30 minutes later, patched Luca up while I went back to Jacob. He was calmer now, the immediate danger past, though still shaken. Is Luca okay? He asked quietly. He's going to be fine. He protected us.
He's brave.
Like the dinosaurs that protected their babies.
Yes.
Exactly like that. That night, after Jacob finally fell asleep, I sat with Luca in his room. His shoulder bandaged, pain medication making him drowsy, but still fighting to stay awake. They'll come back, he said. Stronger next time. More prepared. I know. So we need a better plan.
Something permanent.
Like what? Like making Crawford believe you're actually dead. For real this time. No body to question. Just disappear so completely, he has no choice but to close your file.
How?
I'm working on it. But Diana, it's going to require you to trust me completely. To let me handle things my way. I looked at this man who'd taken bullets for me. Who'd given me everything. I trust you. Then rest. Tomorrow, we start planning your permanent disappearance. And this time, it'll work. I wanted to believe him. Wanted to trust that we could outsmart the CIA. But deep down, I knew the truth. They would never stop hunting me. Not really. And eventually, someone I loved would pay the price for my survival. I just had to make sure that someone wasn't Jacob. Or Luca. No matter what it cost me. Luca's plan was insane. Brilliant, but insane. Fake your death isn't working, he explained the next morning, his shoulder heavily bandaged, but his mind sharp as ever. They question the body. They'll question anything physical we stage. So we go psychological instead. Meaning, we make Crawford believe you died in a way he can't verify but won't question.
En explosion.
A car that drives into a river with a body too damaged to recover. Something he'll accept because the alternative means admitting his team failed to kill you twice. That's a lot of assumptions about how he thinks. I've dealt with men like Crawford my whole life. Ego matters more than truth. He'll accept your death because not accepting it means he failed. Again, men like him don't accept failure well. I looked at Jacob playing quietly with his dinosaurs across the room, completely unaware of the danger swirling around him. And if you're wrong, then we fight. We keep fighting until we win, or we're dead. But I don't think I'm wrong. Over the next 3 days, Luca orchestrated everything. A car registered to Diana Russo. Security footage showing me getting in and driving away from the safe house. The car found crashed and burned at the bottom of a ravine, the body inside too destroyed for visual identification, dental records impossible to obtain. But the key was the witness. Luca had someone, a hiker, report seeing the crash. Seeing a woman matching my description lose control and plummet off the mountain road. Traumatized but clear. Convincing. It won't hold up to intense scrutiny, Luca admitted. But paired with the gunfight here, paired with Crawford's team taking casualties, paired with the fact that chasing you has cost the CIA resources and lives with nothing to show for it, they'll want to believe you're dead. We're just giving them permission to close the case. And Jacob? How do we explain his mother dying twice in a month? We don't. Diana Russo never had a son on paper. Remember? When we created your new identity, Jacob's records stayed under Emily Hart's custody. Diana Russo was childless. When Diana dies, Jacob stays with his guardian. Me. You. I filed emergency custody paperwork 3 days ago. Jacob Hart is now under my legal guardianship due to his mother's death and no other living relatives. It's airtight. Legal. The courts already approved it because I have resources and stability to care for a special needs child. I stared at him. You made yourself Jacob's guardian without asking me? I made a backup plan in case everything went to hell. Would you rather he goes into the system if something happens to you? He was right. I knew he was right. But the idea of someone else having legal rights to my son made every protective instinct scream. Hey. Luca touched my face gently. I'm not trying to take him from you. I'm trying to protect him. You'll still be his mother. You'll just be someone else. New identity. New name. New life. But still you.
Who?
Who do I become after Diana? That's your choice. But it needs to be someone with no connection to Emily or Diana or the CIA. Someone completely new. I thought about it for days while Luca's plan rolled forward. The car crash. The witness statement. The death certificate for Diana Russo filed quietly through Luca's contacts in the system. And then Crawford called. Luca put it on speaker so I could hear. Mr. Moretti. I'm calling about Diana Russo. We've been informed of her death.
Yes. Tragique accident.
She was a good employee. Quite the coincidence. Woman matching your former employee Emily Hart's description, also dying violently. Is it? This city is dangerous. Vimendi. I imagine federal agents have statistics about that. Crawford was quiet for a long moment. We'd like to investigate the crash site. Already been processed by local authorities. But you're welcome to check their findings. I'm sure they'd be cooperative with federal agents. More silence. Then, tell me something, Mr. Moretti. Did you know Emily Hart was a CIA operative? I knew she could fight. She proved that when she broke my arm. Beyond that, I knew nothing. And Diana Russo? Was she also unusually skilled? She was a consultant, good with numbers, quiet, unremarkable. Not everyone is a secret agent, Agent Crawford.
No.
But the coincidences are stacking up. 2 women with combat training both working for you, both dying violently within weeks of each other. Maybe I'm just unlucky with employees. Or maybe you're seeing conspiracies where there are only tragedies. Either way, unless you have evidence of a crime, this conversation is over. Luca hung up, looked at me. He's going to investigate. But he'll find nothing because there's nothing to find except paperwork that all lines up. Diana Russo died in a car accident. Emily Hart died in a home invasion. 2 separate women, 2 separate incidents. Eventually, he'll have to accept it. And if he doesn't, then we move to Plan C, which involves making Crawford disappear instead. But I'd rather not murder a federal agent if we can avoid it. That's oddly principled of you. He smiled grimly. I'm trying to be better. You make me want to be better. The next week was the longest of my life, waiting to see if Crawford would accept the story or push harder. Watching the news for any indication the CIA was still hunting me, existing in limbo between alive and dead. Jacob noticed something was wrong. Started having more meltdowns, more anxiety. He'd look at me sometimes with this confusion in his eyes like he knew something had changed but couldn't understand what. Mama, why do you look different? I'd changed my hair again. Colored it red this time. Started wearing glasses. Small modifications that made me look less like Emily or Diana. Just trying something new, baby. Do you like it? I don't know. You look like Mama, but also not like Mama. I'm still your Mama. Always. No matter what I look like. Promise. I promise. 2 weeks after Diana Russo's death, Luca got the call. Crawford was closing the investigation. Artemis was officially terminated. Emily Hart and Diana Russo were both dead.
Case closed.
We did it, Luca said, pulling me into his arms carefully because his shoulder was still healing. You're free. Really free this time. But I didn't feel free. I felt hollow. Like I died so many times I didn't know who was left alive inside. What now? I asked. Now you choose who you want to be. Build a new identity. A real one. And you live. You raise Jacob. You let yourself be happy. He pulled back to look at me. And maybe, if you want, you let me be part of that life. You're already part of it. You're Jacob's legal guardian. You're the man who saved us. You're the person I'm falling in love with even though I know it's completely insane. Say that again. Which part? The love part. I smiled despite everything. I'm falling in love with you, Luca Moretti. Against all logic and survival instinct. You've become everything to me. He kissed me then. Deep and desperate and full of promise. When we broke apart, he was smiling genuinely. Then let me give you something. A future. A real home. Not a safe house. A place where Jacob can grow up. Where you can heal. Where we can build something real together. Where I have a property up north. By the water. Quiet. Private. Perfect for a family that wants to disappear from the world without constantly looking over their shoulders. It's yours.
Ours.
If you want it. I looked at this man who'd given me everything. Who'd fought for me. Who'd become the father figure Jacob desperately needed. And I made the choice that should have terrified me but instead felt like coming home.
Yes.
Let's go build a life. What name do you want? For your new identity. I thought about it. About all the women I'd been. The operative. The waitress. The consultant. The ghost. And I chose something simple. Something real. Sophia. Sophia Moretti. His eyes widened. Moretti? You want my name? If you're offering. If not, I'll find something else. I'm offering. God, I'm offering.
He kissed me again.
Sophia Moretti. I like it. Sounds right. We have to actually get married for it to be legal. Then marry me. For real. Not for paperwork or strategy. Because I love you. Because I want to wake up next to you every day. Because I want to help raise Jacob and give him the stable life he deserves. Because you're the first person who ever made me want to be more than a criminal.
I was crying now.
Happy tears for the first time in years.
Yes.
Yes, I'll marry you. We told Jacob that night. Explained as best we could that Mama had a new name now. That Luca was going to be part of our family officially. That we were moving to a new house by the water. Jacob processed this seriously. Will I have a new name too? If you want. Or you can keep being Jacob Hart. Whatever makes you most comfortable. Can I be Jacob Moretti? Like Luca? My heart shattered and healed at the same time. If that's what you want, baby. I want it. Luca is nice. He doesn't yell. He helps with my dinosaurs. I want him to be my family for real. Luca looked stunned. Emotional in a way I'd never seen him. He knelt down to Jacob's level. I would be honored to be your family, Jacob. And I promise I'll always take care of you and your mama. Always. Jacob nodded seriously. Then, in a gesture that shocked both of us, he hugged Luca. My son, who didn't like unexpected touch, who needed warning and preparation, just hugged this dangerous man who'd become safe. Luca held him carefully, like he was something precious. And I watched the two people I loved most embrace, and I knew, absolutely knew, that we were going to be okay. We'd survived the impossible. Outsmarted the CIA, found each other in the chaos. Now we just had to learn how to live. Really live. For the first time in our lives. 6 months later, I was Sophia Moretti in every way that mattered. Married to Luca in a small ceremony with just Jacob and a handful of Luca's most trusted people. Living in the house by the water where Jacob thrived in the quiet routine. Where he started a new school that understood his needs. Where I finally stopped looking over my shoulder every second. Life was good. Peaceful. Normal in ways I'd never imagined possible. Then Luca came home one evening with news that changed everything. Crawford's dead. I froze in the middle of making dinner. What?
Car accident.
3 days ago. I just got confirmation from my contacts. He drove off a bridge. Alone.
No witnesses.
Investigators are calling it suspicious, but can't prove anything. Did you have him killed?
No.
I swear I didn't. But someone did. Someone who wanted him silenced. My mind raced. The agency. They're cleaning house. Too many questions about failed operations. About missing assets and botched terminations. Crawford was a liability. Which means your case is really closed now. The man hunting you is dead. All the files he kept, all the evidence, it dies with him. I should have felt relief. Instead, I felt uneasy. Or it means someone else is watching. Someone who knows Crawford was obsessed with finding me. Someone who might wonder why. You think they're still looking? I think the CIA never really stops looking. But maybe now, with Crawford gone, the active hunt ends. We become old news. A closed file nobody cares about anymore. That night, I couldn't sleep. I stood on our deck overlooking the water, watching the moonlight on the waves, thinking about everything that had brought me here. Luca found me around midnight. He wrapped his arms around me from behind, his chin resting on my shoulder. Talk to me. What's going on in that brilliant, paranoid mind? I'm thinking about how we got here. All the people who died. The lies we told. The identities we buried. And I'm wondering if we really deserve this peace, or if we're just waiting for the other shoe to drop. We deserve it. You deserve it. You fought for your son. You survived impossible odds. You earned this life, Sophia. I turned in his arms to face him. Do you ever regret it? Taking me in? All the trouble I brought to your life. Not for a second. You and Jacob are the best things that ever happened to me. You made me want to be more than a criminal. Made me believe I could be a husband, a father, a real person instead of just a weapon. You were always a real person. You just needed someone to see it. You saw it. From the beginning. Even when you broke my arm, you saw me. I laughed despite myself. That's still such a weird beginning to a relationship. I like weird. Weird is interesting. We stood there holding each other, listening to the waves, existing in the peace we'd fought so hard to create. Then headlights appeared on the road leading to our house. My entire body tensed. Are you expecting anyone?
No.
We moved quickly. Luca grabbed his gun from the safe inside. I woke Jacob gently, prepared to move him to the reinforced room we'd built just in case. But the car stopped at the gate. A single vehicle. One person inside. Through the security camera, I saw her. A woman in her 50s, professional clothes, government bearing. She stood at the gate and looked directly at the camera. Artemis, I know you're there. My name is Director Sarah Chen. I'm Crawford's replacement. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to offer you something. A deal. Please, just 5 minutes of your time. Luca looked at me. You don't have to do this. I know, but I'm curious. She came alone.
No backup.
No tactical team. Let's hear what she wants. I don't like this. Neither do I. But running from every shadow isn't living. Stay with Jacob. I'll go talk to her. Absolutely not. We go together or not at all. So we did. We left Jacob with one of Luca's men, heavily armed and under strict instructions to evacuate at the first sign of trouble. Then Luca and I walked down to the gate together. Director Chen was exactly what I expected.
Sharp.
Intelligent. Assessing us both with experienced eyes. Sophia Moretti, she said, smiling slightly. Or should I call you Artemis? Or Emily? Or Diana? You've been busy. What do you want? I asked coldly. To apologize. Crawford was obsessed. Vindictive. He couldn't accept that you chose morality over orders. He made your termination personal when it should have been professional. That was wrong. You drove all the way here to apologize?
No.
I drove here to make you an offer. Come back. Not as a field operative. As a trainer. You have skills we need. Experience that's invaluable. You could teach the next generation how to do this job right. How to make the hard choices without losing their humanity.
Ist sehr daher.
You want me to work for the people who tried to kill me? I want you to work for me. A new administration. New policies. Crawford's methods are over. We're building something better. And we need people like you to help. The answer is no. Don't you want to hear the terms? I don't care about the terms. I have a family now. A son who needs stability. A husband who's given me everything. I'm not going back to that life. Ever. Director Chen nodded slowly. I expected that answer, but I had to try. She pulled out an envelope. This is your official pardon. Signed by people high enough up the chain that it actually means something. All charges dropped. All files closed. Emily Hart, Diana Russo, Artemis, all of them officially deceased in the system. You're free.
Completely.
No more looking over your shoulder. I took the envelope with shaking hands.
Why?
Because Crawford was wrong. Because you made the right call in Budapest. Because that journalist and his family are alive because of you. And because holding grudges against people who did the right thing isn't how we build a better agency. She looked at Luca. Take care of her, Mr. Moretti. She's one of the good ones. I know, Luca said simply. Director Chen got back in her car. Paused before driving away. If you ever change your mind about the offer, you know how to reach me. But I hope you don't. I hope you stay right here and live the life you fought for. You've earned it. She left. We stood there holding the envelope containing my freedom. My real, actual freedom. Back at the house, I opened it. Read the documents. Everything she'd promised was there. Pardons. Closed files. Death certificates for every identity I'd used. It was over. Really over. Jacob ran up to us, sensing something important had happened. Mama, are you okay? You're crying. Happy tears, baby. The best kind. We're safe now. Really safe. Forever. 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 He hugged me tight, then looked up at Luca. Does this mean we can stay here? In this house? Forever? If you want, Luca said, ruffling his hair gently. This is home now. For all of us.
Good.
I like this home. The water is pretty. And my room has the right kind of light. And you and Mama are happy here. Out of the mouths of children. The simple truth. We were happy here. That night, after Jacob was asleep, Luca and I sat on the deck again. I showed him the documents. Explained what they meant. So it's really over, he said. It's really over. How does it feel? Strange. Like I've been running so long, I don't know how to stand still. But also good. Peaceful. Like maybe I can finally breathe. What do you want to do now? Now that you can do anything? I thought about it. About all the lives I'd lived. All the women I'd been. I want to help people. Kids like Jacob, who need support and understanding. Maybe work with families who have special needs children. Use my experience surviving impossible situations to help others survive theirs. That's perfect. That's exactly who you are. A survivor who helps others survive. What about you? What do you want now that you're a family man? He smiled. I want to go legitimate.
Slowly. Carefully.
But get out of the criminal side of things. Focus on the legal businesses. Give Jacob something to be proud of instead of ashamed of. Be the man my mother hoped I'd become before everything went wrong. She'd be proud of you now. The man who took in a stranger and her son. Who fought impossible odds. Who chose love over violence. I chose you. That made everything else possible. We made love that night with a tenderness we'd never quite managed before.
No urgency.
No fear. Just two people who'd found each other in the chaos, finally able to exist in peace. Afterwards, lying tangled together, Lucas said something that made me cry again. Thank you for breaking my arm that night. If you hadn't, we never would have found each other. I laughed through my tears. That's still the weirdest love story I've ever heard.
Good.
Weird is who we are. I wouldn't change a thing. Neither would I. Despite everything. Despite the fear, and the running, and the constant danger. It had all led here. To this man. This life. This family. I'd been a weapon. A ghost. A survivor. Now I was just Sophia.
Wife.
Mother. Woman who'd finally found home. And that was more than enough. It was everything. 1 year later, I stood in our backyard watching Jacob play with 3 other children from his special needs social group. They were building an elaborate dinosaur world together, each child contributing in their own way, at their own pace. Luca came up behind me, wrapping his arms around my waist. He's doing so well.
He is.
The new school is perfect for him. The therapy is helping. And having friends who understand him makes all the difference. You make all the difference. You're an incredible mother. I leaned back against him, watching our son thrive. We make the difference. Together. My support group for special needs families had grown to 15 members. We met twice a month, sharing resources, offering understanding, helping each other navigate systems designed to fail families like ours. It gave me purpose beyond survival. A way to use everything I'd learned for good. Luca had slowly transitioned out of the criminal enterprises. He still had connections, still commanded respect, but his focus had shifted to legitimate businesses. Real estate. Import-export. Things Jacob could be proud of someday. I have something for you, Luca said, pulling out a small box. It's not my birthday. I know. But it's the anniversary of the day you broke my arm and changed my life forever. Seemed worth celebrating. I opened the box. Inside was a necklace. A small silver pendant shaped like an elephant. Jacob's elephant. It's perfect, I whispered. Read the inscription. I turned it over. To my ghost, who taught me how to live.
Forever your, elle.
I turned in his arms and kissed him. Deep and full of gratitude. For this life. This love. This impossible gift of normal we'd fought so hard to claim. I love you, I said. Thank you for seeing me. For protecting us. For being everything we needed. I love you too. Both of you. My family. Jacob ran over then, his face bright with excitement. "Mama, Luca, come see what we built. It's a whole dinosaur city." We spent the afternoon in our backyard, admiring dinosaur cities and refereeing gentle disputes and existing in the beautiful mundane chaos of family life. That evening, after the other children left, after Jacob was bathed and fed and settled with his bedtime routine, Luca and I sat on our deck, watching the sunset over the water. "Do you ever think about going back?" he asked quietly. "To that life? The action? The adrenaline?" "Sometimes. For about 3 seconds. Then I look at what I have now, and I can't imagine choosing anything else." I took his hand. "This is better than any mission. This is real. This matters. Even the hard days, the meltdowns, the challenges. Especially those days. Because those are the days that prove love isn't just the easy moments. It's showing up when things are hard and choosing to stay anyway." He kissed my hand. "I'm glad you stayed. Glad you let me into your life. I'm glad you didn't let me go, even when I tried to push you away." We sat in comfortable silence, watching the light fade, listening to the water. Two former weapons learning to be soft. Learning that strength wasn't just survival, but choosing vulnerability. Choosing love. Choosing to build instead of destroy.
Nana.
Jacob's voice called from inside. "Can you check my blanket? It's not quite right." I smiled and stood. "Duty calls." "That's love calling," Luca corrected. "That's what we fought for. These moments." I went inside to adjust Jacob's blanket, to sing him his bedtime song, to kiss his forehead and promise him safety one more time. These were the battles that mattered now, the victories that counted. When I came back outside, Luca had opened a bottle of wine. 2 glasses poured. "To us," he said, handing me one. "To surviving the impossible. To building something real. To the future." "To the future," I agreed. We clinked glasses and drank. And I thought about everything that had led here. The violence. The fear. The running. The man who'd laughed at my warning and changed everything. I'd been Artemis. Emily. Diana. So many names. So many women. But Sophia was who I chose to be. Wife. Mother. Survivor who'd finally stopped running. And as I sat there with Luca, watching the stars appear over the water, I felt something I'd never quite felt before.
Peace.
Real, actual, lasting peace. The CIA was a closed chapter. The threats were over. The past was buried under enough identities and false deaths that nobody would ever untangle the truth. All that remained was the future. Jacob growing up. Luca building legitimate legacy. Me helping families like ours survive and thrive. It was enough. More than enough. It was everything I'd ever wanted, but never thought I deserved. "What are you thinking about?" Luca asked. "Happy endings. How they're not really endings. Just beginnings disguised as resolution." Very philosophical for a Tuesday night. I laughed. "I'm allowed to be philosophical. I've earned it." "You have. You've earned everything." He pulled me close. "So, what's our beginning look like? Now that we have all this future stretching ahead." Quiet mornings. Dinosaur documentaries. School events and therapy appointments. Normal life with the man I love and the son who makes everything worthwhile. Sounds perfect. It really does. And before I close the story, before I leave you with the image of us sitting on that deck planning our impossibly normal future, I want to say something to you. Yes, you watching this. Listening to this journey. Life doesn't always give us the endings we deserve. Sometimes the bad guys win. Sometimes the good choices lead to consequences. Sometimes survival means losing pieces of yourself you can never get back. But sometimes if you fight hard enough, if you hold on to the people who matter, if you choose love even when violence seems easier, sometimes you get the impossible. You get peace. You get family. You get home.
I got all of that.
And if my story taught you anything, I hope it taught you that you're stronger than you think. That survival is possible even when everything says it isn't. That love can find you in the darkest places. that choosing humanity over violence is always worth it, even when the cost is high. So please hit that like button if this story moved you. Subscribe because I promise you there are more stories to tell. Comment and let me know what you thought, what moments hit hardest, what parts made you believe in second chances. And most importantly, take care of yourself out there. Protect the people you love. Choose the hard right over the easy wrong. And never underestimate what you're capable of when you're fighting for something that truly matters. My name is Sophia Moretti. This is the story of how I went from weapon to woman, from ghost to mother, from running to finally standing still. Thank you for listening. And remember, sometimes the best revenge is simply living well.
Take care.
Stay safe. And I'll see you in the next story.